Hello, my name is Dr. Mary O'Kane, and I'm delighted to have been asked by Donegal Libraries to do this short video for you as part of the Healthy Ireland at Your Library series. All the libraries in Donegal are taking part in the Healthy Ireland programme at the moment, so they have over 120 different books on healthy eating, on your emotional well-being. So if you want to drop into your local library, you will get more information. Unfortunately, we can't meet face-to-face at the moment, so the library have asked me to do this short video for you about raising resilient children. Okay, so resilient children, what is resilience? Resilience, I think we're very aware of it at the moment with everything that's going on with COVID, is the ability to bounce back, the ability to cope when you're faced with difficult situations in life. I often think it's not even bouncing back, it's nearly the ability to just keep plodding, to keep going under difficult circumstances. Resilience isn't something that we can just give our children, it's something they have to grow and have to develop for themselves. But our role as parents is very important in terms of supporting them in becoming stronger and becoming more resilient. So the first thing I wanted to mention today is what we call locus of control in psychology. Locus of control is our belief, our internal belief about how we can control our environment, control our world, control what happens to us in life. And we refer to it as either being internal or external. And for a child, if they have an internal locus of control, it means they believe they have the power to do things, to be active, to change their pathway in life. If it is very external, it means our child is reliant on others, reliant on the environment. They don't really think that they can impact on the environment. And what we really want for our children is for them to have an internal locus of control. So this develops over childhood, but as parents, we have an important role to play in this. And one of the ways we can do this is to help our children become better problem solvers, better decision makers. If my locus of control is external, it leaves me feeling very vulnerable, very powerless. So by encouraging them to be stronger decision makers, we're helping them to feel more powerful in themselves, to feel that they can control. One way we can actually do this is very often if they're faced with a problem, if they're faced with something, a challenge in life, very often we think about what we should do. And the word should seems like a very little word, but Harvard Business School have researched into the idea of thinking about what we should do. And what they found is when we think that way, it's actually very limiting. It narrows our viewpoint. It's as if we're looking for one solution as to what we should do in a difficult situation. If we get our children to always reframe this and think in terms of what we could do when faced with any issue in life, it broadens our perspective. It means we're thinking about a range of possibilities, a range of solutions. And it means we think in a much more imaginative way, we think in a broader way. I can give you an example. You know the story, I think it was back in 2009, and it was the pilot, may have been American Airlines flight, took off from LaGuardia Airport in New York, and the pilot had only taken off and both of his engines ended up failing, and he had to make a decision about what he was going to do. And he ended up landing on the Hudson River and saving everybody's lives on board that plane. Now, if we think of that pilot and we think, what should he have done? If he had thought, okay, what should I do when this engine has gone? Probably the most logical answer was to try and return back to the airport and find a runway. That's what you think you should do. But instead he thought of what he could do. And it led him to possibilities. It led him to thinking, what are my options here? And he saved everybody's life on the plane. If we can get our children to start reframing that what should they do into what could they do when they are faced with difficulties. It helps them become better problem solvers. Linked to this, I must say, and in terms of them becoming resilient, I think as parents, we tend to try and jump in and solve everything for them. Something goes wrong and they have a fight with their friend in the yard and they come home and we're like, well, you go in there tomorrow and you tell her. And we tend to do this. So linked to this is to try and step back. When they're faced with any little problem that it might be in their lives, try not to always tell them what to do. Try and step back and encourage them to think, what could we do in this situation? And it reframes their way of thinking. Linked to this again is another concept and this was discovered by a lady called Carol Dweck, and she calls it a growth mindset. And in terms of becoming resilient, a growth mindset is very important. She describes every one of us as having either what she calls a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And probably quite a few of us, without even really realizing it, can get quite fixed in the way we think about our mindset. The difference between the two of them, she said, for a child who's thinking about, say, their intelligence, if they are thinking about it from a fixed mindset perspective, they think, genetically we are born with a certain level of intelligence and, that's the way it is. I am that intelligent, I'm good at maths. I am not so good at my spellings. That's it. That's the way life is. So it's quite fixed. And what she suggests is to get our children to really reevaluate and think in terms of a growth mindset. So what is a growth mindset? It is when we think, okay, fine, I may have a certain IQ, however, nothing is fixed in stone. I can learn, I can develop, I can grow as an individual. We all have the potential to grow. I think probably for most of us, we can be a bit fixed in some areas or a bit fixed at times, but it's about really encouraging our children to view the world with a growth mindset. So maybe they think, I'm not very good at sports. The trick is, I'm not very good at sports yet. The word yet has endless potential. It means I might not be so good at something at the moment, but if I put in effort, if I persevere, if I keep trying, I can keep learning. It shifts us. In terms of the resilience, it really supports children if they can shift towards that growth mindset approach, because when something happens to knock them down, we all have skills to adapt, to grow, to change, and it can help them shift their thinking. Okay, so both of those things will help our children develop better problem-solving skills themselves. The other thing in terms of the resilience is to keep in mind that standing back on the sidelines, to actually take a step back and allow our children to come up with their possible solutions. So when they come with a problem, what could we do? What options might you have? We're all capable of changing, we're all capable of growing, and get them to think about how they might handle a solution. And remember, in terms of resilience, we all make mistakes. Mistakes are not a bad thing. Mistakes are how we learn and how we grow. So in order to have this growth mindset, we are problem solving. Sometimes we may not get it right. Sometimes we may not make the best decision. That's fine. We're learning and we're growing. I hope that little bit of advice about problem solving, decision making, thinking, replace the word should with the word could. We never cannot do anything. We cannot do it yet. That powerful, powerful word will help you in thinking about how you can support your children to become more resilient. Once again, thank you very much to Donegal Libraries for inviting me to have a few words with you. As I said, there are so many books in the library at the moment, and you can get lots of information on Healthy Ireland at the library via the Facebook page or indeed at the library's website, www.donegallibraries.ie. I hope this was of some help. Thank you very much.